Go out, my love. It's knowledge butterflies. Always sending you guys out peace, blessings, love, and abundance. Um, Happy Moon Day, happy Monday. After this new moon in Pisces. We're gonna put on some gloss or something. But anywho, I'm gonna talk about how our chakra system relates to the Nile Valley today. So if you're not familiar with what I'm speaking of the Nile Valley in Egypt and why the ancients considered that to be like sacred land, why there were so many temples that were placed in that particular area along that river. A lot of times we just think about that. Of course, the ancients placed temples based upon what the constellations, the placement of the constellations in the sky, which is the macrocosm, but there's also a microcosm. So as above, so below. There's always something below that mirrors what is above. And so, of course, what is the constellations that resided above the Nile Valley or Egypt is the Milky Way galaxy, or I should say the Sirius star system, not the Milky Way galaxy, but the Sirius star system. And if you haven't studied the Sirius star system, I suggest you just, study a little bit to get knowledge of Sirius A and Sirius B, the dog star, Canis Major and Canis Minor, Orion, and all of that, study to get information. Because today what I'm going to talk about is just a correlation with the Nile Valley and our chakra system. I actually received this epiphany. Let me look at my phone. I received this epiphany last Wednesday. I'm reading a book called Celestial Ship of the North. Now, there are actually 2 volumes to this book because this book, the whole series or the volumes have 500 some odd pages. So what I'm reading has about 273 pages. It's the first half of the book, but it's still, I feel blessed to have that because it's very informative. And because I was reading that book, that's when I received the light bulb moment and the epiphany. I was like, oh shit, those temples, the Nile Valley is our chakra system, and that's why they built those temples. I actually recorded it on my phone, an audio of it, and then of course I Googled. I was like, let me see if anybody has made this correlation before, and I did. I didn't find any books. Not saying that there are not any books out there, but what I found was a blog, and that's what I'm going to share with you guys. I'm going to share my screen can um, so you can see what I'm talking about. Here it is. All right, cool. So you can see my screen now. And I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it. So this is a blog called sacredgeometry.blog. And so like I said, I just Googled on my phone because I was curious as to if anyone else had found the connection between the Nile Valley and the chakras, our chakra system. So I'm actually gonna read this and then I'll add anything that I need to add like I did in this recording. And I might, if I need to, which I doubt, but if I need to, I'll go back to my recording because I had some notes on there. Okay. This post is called the Nile Chakras. Egypt is not a country you live in, it lives within you. All right, that's the very first thing that it says. Now, anybody who's familiar with the idea that as above, so below, so that's the 7 Hermetic principles, and it talks about that anything that you can see above you, anything you see in the sky, it also dwells below you, meaning on this earth, but it also means within you. You know what I'm saying? So anything that you see above you also dwells within you. Because if you are also aware of the fact that this whole universe, this whole solar system is created from the inside of you. This is all what they call a holographic universe, meaning that the mind, the subconscious mind, is what's generating everything around you, and that includes our physical bodies, that includes our astral bodies, etheric bodies, causal bodies, and our everything around us. And when we talk about the subconscious mind, we're talking about the universe, basically. All right. So you see this picture. They have the picture, and they have the pyramids that are mostly known to everybody. Those 3 pyramids that coincide with the stars in Sirius. Okay. It says, "Art thou aware that Egypt is the image of heaven, or rather that It is the projection below of the order of things above. If the truth must be told, this land is indeed the temple of the world. Okay. So this quote comes from Hermes Trismegistus, reveals what the ancients knew for thousands of years, that the Nile was not just a reflection of the Milky Way, but also a manifestation of the human chakra system. The neophyte is like the initiate. So the neophyte then started in the south and worked their way downstream as they became an initiate, an adept, and eventually a magus in the temples of the north. So I'm going to stop right there. What this is talking about and how this relates to your chakra system. So the Nile River actually is the only river, or one of the only rivers on this earth that's known that flows from south to north. Every other river flows from the north to the south, but the Nile River flows from south to north, which is the path of enlightenment for your chakra system. So the south would be considered your root chakra, and the north would be considered your crown chakra. That's the way the Nile River Valley flows. Also, it doesn't talk about here, but the Nile River Valley is known for being called the Red River. Okay, and if anyone's familiar with the Bible, it talks about how Moses parted the Red Sea, and you can actually relate that to the Nile River as well, parting that, all right, to lead the children out of Egypt. So, anyways. And of course, the Red River relates to your blood, the blood that flows in your body. So now I'm going to jump back into it. This process might take years, and only when the priests were satisfied could a mystic progress, okay? Some temples were pleasurable, where sexuality was explored, while others were terrifying and required true feats of strength, courage, and endurance to prevail. The Nile Temple Network, I'll leave this so you can see this picture. The Nile Temple Network then is a direct manifestation of the energy system of the human body. The lower energy centers of survival, sex, and power were balanced by the higher centers of communication, intuition, and connection. The most important chakra was therefore the heart, where these forces were harmonized. I did a video, had to be back in 2018, talking about how the heart chakra is a 0-point energy field. It is the balance. It is literally the gateway and the bridge to your lower 3 chakras and your higher 3 chakras. If you do not activate and balance your heart chakra, then you cannot truly obtain enlightenment. All right. So, of course, you have to balance all your chakras, but the heart chakra is the most important out of all of the chakras, because the other 3 chakras are mirrors of one another. Your root chakra, sacral, and your solar plexus are mirroring your throat, your third eye, and your crown chakra, whereas the heart chakra is the one that's emanating all of that. It's the one that's creating all of everything. It's creating what appears to be separation. All right, now let's get into the chakras. Chakras are the energy centers of the body. They are located. Now, first off, let me stop there. Chakras are energy centers of the body. When we talk about the main chakras, the endocrine gland, all right, everything that lines up in the center of the human body, that is the 7 major chakras. However, there are multiple chakras. There are minor chakras throughout the entire body, minor points, your fingertips and everywhere. That's why you can do certain mudras, and it'll actually help to balance your certain chakras in your body, okay? As well as touching certain parts of the bottom of your feet will cause for you to balance your endocrine systems. Those minor chakras actually help you balance your 7 major chakras as well, okay? And of course, those are connected to blood vessels and other pressure points, because the blood vessels, you can think of those as the nadis, your meridian system, the energy network that's connecting everything together. Just like your blood vessels help your blood, connects all the blood to your different organs in your body, think of your nadis or your meridians as the same thing. All right. They are located along the spine, starting at the base, which we know is the root chakra, and running upwards towards the crown, or your crown chakra, crown of your head. The chakras coincide with a gland in the physical body, and each radiates a unique color. I did a video talking about the 7 chakras, and I broke down the organs that relate to each one of those chakras, utilizing a book called the Chakra Bible. Now, Since the chakras relate to specific spiritual, emotional, and physical aspects of our being, the inhibition can lead to corresponding disorders, meaning basically that when you have a spiritual imbalance, an emotional imbalance, it actually causes a physical imbalance. And I'll actually will break it down to say that when we talking about spiritual, we actually talking about your mind. So if your mind is imbalanced, remember the universe is mental, all is mind, the universe is mental. That's the first law in the Hermetic principles. So if your mind has an imbalance, meaning you have these negative thought patterns about yourself and about others, it actually causes for an emotional imbalance. So the emotional is the messenger. It's telling you that there's something that you need to fix in your mind. There's a thought pattern that you need to correct in your mind. If you don't correct that thought pattern, that emotional imbalance will then turn into a physical imbalance or physical dis-ease. Okay. Um, the, the conscious balancing of these energy centers, on the other hand, can lead to profound states of awareness. So you start to become more aware not only of yourself, but also of how you are connected to everything around you. And that includes what people are so focused on when they first get into consciousness, and that is Mother Nature. Mother Nature is a part of it. However, when you start to elevate your heart chakra, which is where that green lies, which is the connection to the nature, you start to understand that you came before nature. Your soul is older than everything that dwells on this planet, including this planet. So this planet is not even really your mother. You are the mother of this planet, but you lost consciousness and awareness of that. So that's why nature has been just controlling you. That's why in ancient times the ancestors were able to communicate with the animals, and they were the alpha. You know what I'm saying? They ran everything. We started to fear what we created, so the creation then can control us, if that makes sense to you. So now I'm going to get into these chakras. So you have the crown chakra, which means I understand. Your third eye chakra means I see, is your vision. Think of, if anybody watches any of the Marvel movies, they had Vision. He was one. He was created by Tony Stark. Iron Man, who's Mars. Vision, and Vision is dealing with your third eye chakra. Tony Stark can also be looked at as the root chakra. That's why he had all that red. That's why Iron Man is red. And iron, when you think of iron, iron is the base of human blood, and it's what causes our blood to be what red. It also is connected with Mars, and that's why Mars is so red, because it has a high content of iron. Okay. The throat chakra means I speak. The heart chakra means I love. Solar plexus means I do. You know, it's getting into action. Sacral chakra, I feel, is it's one of your emotional centers of your emotion. And that's where the baby resides. That's why when I say it's very important when a woman's pregnant for her to get a hold of her emotions, because if you think about it, a woman's very emotional when she's pregnant, and that's why you have a baby sitting there. So you have something else that's taking energy from you, right? And that's depleting the resources from you, so nutrients and minerals and all those things and vitamins. So it actually heightens your senses and your feeling, so you start to feel a lot more. And if you don't learn how to balance your emotions during that pregnancy, and you have a toxic environment around you because it's toxic on the inside, you are going to imprint on that child very toxic and negative emotions. All right. And then we have the root chakra, which is the I am, and that is the base of everything. That's the physical manifestation, and you can look at that as the physical world, as earth. Okay. As earth as well, as, of course, as Mars too, because of the red. Excuse me, sometimes my brain is moving faster than my mouth, so I'll take a breath and get back to it. So now the process of enlightenment then invokes the neophyte. Again, that's the initiate. That's the spiritual initiate, starting at the root chakra at Philae. I'm going to show you what this is talking about, because what I love about this blog, the person that did this blog, is that they included photographs. So there is an image where you can see Philae, the temple of Philae, what they're talking about, and you'll see all these other temples. And I'm going to break down this picture as well, because a picture tells 1,000 words. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to read that over. So the process of enlightenment then involved the neophyte starting at the root chakra at Philae, starting at the root chakra and working their way north to the crown chakra at Per Wajet. Okay. Now, me and my sister were talking yesterday. I call her twin because whatever she's going through, I'm going through a similar thing. and she was talking about uh, no, before she brought something up, I was telling her how when I first got into consciousness, I wanted to open up my third eye and my crown chakra. That was my total focus. I wasn't focused on my lower chakras. So in doing that, it caused me to, and I talked about this in previous videos, it caused me to really be up in the clouds. And so I was not grounded at all because I was up in the clouds. And so that's literally when I start to let go and purge a lot of my physical belongings, my car, my townhouse, my job, my clothes, everything. I let go of so many things. I did purchase some new clothes, but I didn't replace anything else. I just let go of everything else. And I was dwelling in those higher chakras. And she was saying that she spoke to somebody who told her that it was wrong. She did it the wrong way. And I'm here to tell you, whatever way you started your conscious journey was exactly how you were supposed to start your conscious journey. There is no right and wrong. Back in ancient times, because we were so much more aware of who we are, and that wasn't everybody. There were a select few who were in the priesthood, and when someone who their brain sparked some light was sparked in their mind, those were the ones who became spiritual initiates because they hungered for something outside of this physical reality. All right. So for us who came to consciousness in this modern time, we started with our higher chakras because we had been living in our lower chakras for so long that we were so excited and we were so thirsty and hungry for that knowledge. So that of course we wanted to expand. We wanted to expand here, but what'll happen is as you continue to go on your journey, you'll then start to realize that you need to go back to your root chakra. You need to go back to your sacral and your solar plexus. You need to deal with your heart chakra. When you first come into consciousness, you're actually opening up your heart chakra. Your heart chakra is blocked off before you get in consciousness. Anybody that is still identifying with this physical world as being the only thing, they haven't even touched their heart chakra. So in order to activate the heart chakra, it aligns with you activating your consciousness and becoming aware that there's something more than this physical reality. So again, if you started in your higher chakras, there's nothing wrong with that, because as you continue on your journey, you will automatically know you need to go back to your lower chakras and you need to do that work, because what will happen is you won't be able to manifest things here. In order to be able to manifest the things you want, you have to have a connection to your lower chakras. Okay. All right. Whew. So this journey may have taken years as specific lessons were mastered. So there's no um, particular amount of years for you to finish, like in universities here on earth, in high school and all those things. You have 12 years in high school, 12 zodiac signs, 12 years, I won't say high school, 12 years of school, which correlates to the 12 zodiac signs. All right. That's why you don't really master nothing, because they're keeping you in that circle, in that loop of time. Then you're dealing with going to college and they give you the 4 years. And the number 4 is the number of earth. All right. And it's also the number of man. So again, they're keeping you stuck into that circle. The circle to me is a hamster wheel, the zodiac signs. And that's why I actually started to break away from the whole astrology thing, not knowing it, because the knowledge actually helped me know myself. And that's literally what all of this information is for. It's for you to know yourself. We are initiates who are going through this school without the temples, those big physical pyramids, those temples that the ancients went through. Now we're doing it because we've already done that. Now we are doing it in more of a singular way of doing it, meaning that we are connected ourselves to people on YouTube, connected ourselves to the body Hemets of the world. Body Hemets, shout him out. He has helped me so much, because the knowledge and wisdom that he has is so much bigger than physical manifestation and reality. It is connecting to your soul and to the spirit world. It's all about that, because that's really all that exists is your soul. So if you don't connect back to your soul, you're really never going to connect back to your own truth. All right. So shout him out. And so the people like him are like having those master teachers back, having those spiritual masters back, in order to teach. Those people had to come back and reincarnate because we no longer have those temples. All right. everything that happens in the physical has already happened in the spiritual. So computers and all this quote unquote technology had already happened, and because the ancients knew how to tap into future events, they already knew that we were going to need these things in order for us to learn. If we didn't have these computers and things of that nature, yeah, we can go and connect with nature, and I still do that. However, this is another way for us to stay connected to one another and realize we're not a separate entity. How how um how much easier is it for us to realize that we are all one when we are hearing the same messages on YouTube, or not the same, all the same, but similar messages on YouTube, or being able to magnetize and connect and attract people who are like-minded. All right. Getting back into it. So temples were seen as houses for the gods to whom they were dedicated. And anybody who's been following me on my YouTube channel has known that I call the chakras houses. These are your 7 houses, all right? And you have to build these houses up with very strong and steady foundation, starting with your root chakra. If your house is, it's like the 3 little pigs. One pig built his house out of straw, one out of wood, and then one built his out of bricks. The one that withstood the wolf was the one that was built out of bricks. So that's literally what you're doing with your chakras. You're building them out of bricks. You're building them with strong foundations, which means that you're getting rid of all of the negative things that you have perceived yourself to be. And you are transmuting that energy, and you're turning it, because we know energy doesn't die, it just transmutes, it transforms. So you're transforming that negative energy, you're transforming it into something that's positive, into something that's uplifting to yourself. All right. And so it's making your houses stronger, basically. And when it says the temples were seen as houses for the gods, remember, we are the gods. And the other gods, the gods that you see on the temple walls and things, those are certain energies. They represent courage, strength, wealth, a whole bunch of other different energies. And we put a physical image to these energies, the energies that we wanted to magnify in ourselves. That's what these deities were created to be. They were not created for us to worship. When you worship those deities, then you're putting yourself back into the same boat that you were in when you were in Christianity or whatever religion that you were in, when you were worshiping a God outside of yourself. Remember that any God that's outside of you dwells within you. All right. So anywho, indeed, the services and rituals were seen as necessary for the gods to uphold Mayat, the divine order of the universe, so to uphold balance. And this year of 2020 is all about balance within yourself. It's balance of your heart and your mind. If your heart and your mind are not balanced, you cannot manifest what you truly want, what you truly desire on this earth. All right. So the most important part of the temple was the sanctuary, which contained a statue of the god. This is showing you where modern day religion has gotten that whole going into a sanctuary, those churches, and going to worship. They got this from the ancients. The ancients created sanctuaries for us to go, but it wasn't to worship anything outside of ourselves. At the beginning, it was literally for us to uplift and magnify our own energy so we can continue to elevate and to take the ladder, Jacob's ladder, which is your spine, up to enlightenment. Now, as the rooms outside grew more elaborate over time, so that temples evolved from small shrines to large edifices. Indeed, these temples remain the largest and most enduring examples of Egyptian architecture, with their designs reflecting beautiful patterns of sacred geometry. I'm going to stop right there. That's another thing. Back in ancient times, those temples were large edifices, large shrines, which were to harness energies, the energies that we wanted to magnify within our own temple, within our own self, your own body, your own temple. Nowadays, we create our little small shrines in our rooms, or however much space you have. We create these shrines and we have our candles on them. We have water on it. We have pictures on it. We're doing the same thing, but we're doing it on a smaller scale. That's where this all came from. And so when you have an understanding of why you're building these altars, it's not so you can beg a god or a goddess to give you money, or beg a god or a goddess to give you love. It's so that you can activate that energy within yourself, and you can magnify that energy within yourself. And the ancients knew how to use sacred geometry in order to create a vortex, in order to make the momentum speed up. All right. So this is the picture, all right? The Mediterranean Sea is right above, which is where the outlet of the Nile River, the Nile River lets out in the Mediterranean Sea. You can see the Red Sea is on the right hand side of Egypt. Okay. Now I'm gonna start from the bottom and go back up. So at the very bottom, you see where it says Nubian Desert. All right. And then on the left side, it has the poles, the north, the south, the east, and the west. All right. The Nubian Desert starts at the south, and that is where the root chakra starts. And what this person is saying is that you see on the right hand side, they have Philae, the temple of Philae. They're saying that's where the root chakra started, was the temple of Philae. Okay. And you see the animal that's relating to that is a ram, and we're going to get into that. The ram dealing with Mars, the ram dealing with Aries, dealing with your root chakra. And if anyone's familiar with what the ovaries look like, I might pull that up. Let me see here. The ovaries. And, um, let's see if that pulls up the image I want to show you guys. Yep. So you see, if anybody's familiar with Dodge Ram, if I can move my picture. Dodge Ram, the image for that car company is that of a ram, but actually it's that of your fucking ovaries. Is that of a woman's reproductive system. All right. And they got this from the ancients. The ancients knew that the animal, the ram, was in the shape of the female reproductive system, and so that's why they use that particular image. And yeah, I just wanted to show that real quick as to why, when you go back to this image, that's why the ram is associated with the temple of Philae, because that's dealing with the sexual reproductive organs of the female. All right. The next temple is the temple of Horus. In the temple of Horus, they have a crocodile. Crocodile lives in the water. Sacral chakra. This is about the sacral chakra, lives in the water. But I'm not going to get into everything because the person does a really good breakdown. I'm going to read what they say. Then you have the temple of Luxor. Temple of Luxor. Well, hold on. I'm looking for something in particular. Oh, the Abydos temple. And then you go up to the top and you see this outlet. I'm going to talk about this outlet and why that is so important, okay? But I'm going to finish reading what they're saying, and then we'll go back up. All right. Besides the temples themselves, the Egyptians created netters, or animal gods, whose traits embodied the personalities of the chakra system. And when they're talking about personalities, always think of energy. Personalities are just energies. It's different energies at play. All right. So for neophytes struggling to master the sacred within themselves, then a stroll beside the river may have inspired fresh insights. Remember, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So when you see an image, it should give you different light bulb moments. It should give you different levels of understanding, levels of knowledge. Here we arrive at the most profound difference between ancient and modern man. Our ancestors considered themselves part of the animal kingdom, not separate from it. The true process of enlightenment then meant recognizing the animal spirits, or the netters, of the world around us as a reflection of our inner natures. All right. The crown connection, the serpent chakra, is manifested by Wajet, who connects with divinity and generates a sense of oneness. Because snakes shed their skin through flowing or sloughing, they are symbols of rebirth, transformation, and immortality. The form of the rearing cobra on a crown is termed the uraeus, which you saw a lot of the Egyptian priests with the uraeus on their crown, which meant that they had obtained enlightenment. All right. So per Wajet, and I won't even say just Egyptian priests. I have been doing study of the ancient Aztecs and the Mayans, and they were the same. The ancient Mayans, they actually had kings that they called the snake kings. All right, so that goes to show that this is universal knowledge, ancient knowledge. This is not something that was just concentrating to one area of this planet. Okay. Perwajet showcased the rearing cobra that was used as a symbol of sovereignty, royalty, and authority. So that's why a lot of times people said that the kings and the queens were the ones who were wearing that, because those were the ones who actually, most of them had went through the process of enlightenment. And that's why if you look at the reigns of the kings, they all had names of deities, because they were saying that they were the incarnation of these deities. They knew that they were physical incarnations of specific deities, even though nowadays we're learning that we're the incarnation of all these deities, because we've incarnated into all these different regions so that we can take on that energy and thread that energy into our DNA or our subconscious mind. Now, the third eye of awareness, the falcon chakra, is a pathway to accessing cosmic wisdom through meditation and divination. Horus fixes his eye on a point with superior vision and focus. And when we say Horus, we're talking about, in Egypt, they had the picture of the third eye, the eye of Horus, which is actually on the money as well. It's on the American money. It's going to pull up the eye of Horus. Bam. Boom. This is it, the eye of Horus. And here it says the eye of Horus, also known as Wadjet or Wetjet or Udjat, is an ancient Egyptian symbol of protection, royal power, and good health. The eye of Horus is similar to the eye of Ra, which belongs to a different god, Ra, but represents many of the same aspects. And I've come to learn from my studying that Ra actually means the planet Saturn. Saturn is the ancient solar god. He is the god of the quote unquote black people, meaning not that we worship him as our god, but we understand that Saturn is connected to our third eye, or is our third eye. Saturn. Oh goodness. Trying to get through this while Malia is sleeping. See if I can find this. Someone has an image of a blow up of the third eye, and it looks like third eye region, and it looks like Saturn. I'm pretty sure I saved it. This is me going off the fly, because I actually did not even consciously plan on showing y'all this. Ooh, it's moving slow, honey, slow. Okay, look at all this crazy stuff people be posting. I'm not seeing it. If I don't, I might just have to Saturn Let's try that. I remember seeing it on Dr. Aleem El-Bay's channel. He did a post. This was back in January of last year. This is when I first started getting into the anatomy of the human body and the solar system, um, relating that to one another, and also the Bible. Like I said, right now, it's not. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back to this because, like I said, I want to finish it before baby girl gets up. But if I remember where I saved it or find it before this video, if not, I'll show it to you guys on another video. Okay. The falcon eye is among the strongest in the animal kingdom, at least 5 times better than that of the human. Okay. Through expanded awareness, it is possible to see all things as they truly are, with no questions, no judgment. The city of the sun, and that's Heliopolis, represents this chakra. Heliopolis represents the third eye chakra. Now, the throat of communication, the ibis chakra, opens the portal of communication, freedom of expression, and higher truths. Hermopolis, get it? Hermopolis, because I'm thinking of Hermes, and that's actually what this relates to. Hermes or Thoth is aligned with Thoth, the enlightened scribe and wisdom keeper. Ibises have a guttural rumble that sounded like God to the ancient Egyptians. They were also found amongst the reeds of papyrus, the wetland sedge used to make paper. I also learned in reading the book, The Celestial Ship of the North, Another reason that the ancients considered the ibis to be a sacred bird was because the ibis never drank water that was impure. They would literally pass over water that was closer to them to go to something that was further because that water was cleaner. It was more pure. And so, because the ancients used to study animals and study their patterns and their habits to have a better understanding of self, they would actually utilize those animals so that they can utilize the ibis so that they can find pure water, so they can use pure water for their rituals and things of that nature and for cleansing of their body. All right. Now, the heart of love. The hippopotamus, I just got to check this. The hippopotamus chakra is the wisdom of the heart. And when this is open, or spiritual cells blossom. And when this is, when this is opened, our spiritual cells blossom. Remember, I told you, until your heart chakra opens, you can't even understand any of this information anyway. As you continue to go through different levels of each one of your chakras, you start to gain more and more light, more and more wisdom, more and more knowledge. I'm at a different level in my heart chakra, and that's why a lot of the stuff that I had studied when I first got into consciousness back in the end of 2016 is now really starting to make sense to me here in the beginning of 2020. The hippopotamus, a descendant of whales. Whales and dolphins are very spiritual creatures, is a symbol of the heart because this nocturnal mammal is extremely vocal. Yet, despite being doting mothers, hippos can be aggressive, ruthless, and unpredictable, just like a mother. If you come for their child, their cubs, or whatever, then the other side of them comes out. That nurturing side turns into, a beast, because she will kill somebody and fight over her child. Dendera is the temple site dedicated to Hathor, the goddess of music, love, and merriment. Abydos is linked to the death of Osiris and his rebirth. The heart chakra rules compassion and wisdom. Now, Hathor is considered to be the cow goddess, all right, the cow goddess. And back in ancient times, the zodiac sign Taurus was actually the sign of the vernal equinoxes of Aries. So Taurus will usher in the springtime. And so that's why during that time, you saw a lot of Hathor statues, a lot of Hathor temples, and things of that nature, because the cow was the symbol for the zodiac sign Taurus. The solar plexus of power, the cheetah chakra, is devoted to awakened ability and manifested potential, right? Mafdet, the cheetah-inspired Sekhmet, the lion incarnate. Sekhmet is one of the deities that I'm most familiar with, because I actually was studying Sekhmet over a year ago, because I realized when I incarnated, my birthday adds up to the number that correlates with Sekhmet energy. And it actually explained a lot, because she's connected. She's a lion goddess, and that explains why I'm so connected, and my energy is so connected to the Rastafari, or Jamaican people. All right, Rastafarian. And when I say Rastafarian, I don't mean it in the physical sense. I mean in the star constellation and connected with Leo and that type of energy. So often associated with strength, courage, and justice, the big cats remain at the top of the food chain. At Luxor Temple, and Luxor makes me think of light, we once learned about power, control, and ego. And the reason why that temple dealt with the ego is because the solar plexus chakra is the last chakra that's connected to the ego in the lower self, lower man, or I should say connected to man. Your higher chakras are like your God chakras, and your lower chakras are like your man chakras. And the idea is to merge them as one in that heart chakra. Okay. This place often referred to as the temple of man, and it makes a whole lot of sense, because, like I said, it's the last chakra before you hit the heart, and the heart chakra is the gateway. It's literally the home of the soul. The sacral of sexuality, the crocodile chakra, is dedicated to Sobek at Kom Ombo. Crocodile courting goes on for hours and involves all the senses. They are passionate lovers. Makes sense, because your sacral chakra is connected to your passion and your creativity. Is where life is created, babies. Unlike many other reptiles and mammals, alligators sport permanently erect penises that hide inside their bodies and only emerge during coitus, so only emerge when they're about to have sex. The origin of his name, Sebek, in Egyptian, is derived from a causative of the verb to impregnate. So you see how you can tell the ancients study these animals, because if they had not studied these animals, they would not know their mating practices. They wouldn't know all this information. Now, The root of survival, the Ram chakra, is dedicated to Khnum, the god of creation, sits on the potter's wheel and forms people out of clay. Rams were considered a symbol of virility due to their rutting behavior. The violent rut is characterized by increased testosterone, exaggerated sexual dimorphisms, and aggressive posturing. Philae and Elephantine Island are dedicated to Khnum, the ancient god of creation, trust, and survival. All right. It says you may wonder why these netters were chosen to represent the human chakra system. The answer relates to infrasound, the subsonic resonance that these creatures use in order to mate, navigate, and communicate. When you think of that, think about vibration. The vibration that each one of these animals on actually also coincides with that chakra. And when you think of vibration, think of colors. So each color has a particular vibration or frequency. These animals had to be in correlation with those vibrations, frequencies, and colors. What else? The Nile then is really a singing river, a moving body of water whose melodies reflect its various stages. Our chakras are singing rivers and singing bodies of water. They relate to a specific note in the scales and musical scales. And I posted that on my Heal Soul page. I posted those notes so you can take a look at that post. All right. Indeed, the nature of consciousness determines the structure of the brain. The nature of sound determines the structure of the ear. The nature of light determines the structure of the eye. And the nature of the netters determines the structures of man. And here you see the caduceus, which relates to Hermes. And that's what the symbol that they use in the medical field, because they took this from the ancients. All right. Before I go all the way down, I'm going to show you this picture one more again. All right, so you see the ram starting here at the Philae temple. This is dealing with your root chakra. Then we have the temple of Horus dealing with your sacral chakra, and it's tied to the crocodile. All right, we have the temple of Luxor, which is dealing with your sacral chakra, and that's tied to the cheetah. Then we have Dendera, which is your heart chakra, and the Abydos temple, which is tied to your heart chakra. We have Hermopolis. This is the ibis, and that's dealing with your throat chakra. All right, and then you start to get up into your third eye chakra and your crown chakra, and you start seeing, okay, this is where the Sphinx is. This is where the Great Pyramids of Giza lie, and those three temples we know also correlate with the glands in your head, which is your hypothalamus gland, your pineal gland, and your pituitary gland. Those three glands there, that's what these three temples also represent. Now, if you look at the very top, this is where your crown chakra, this is where you obtain enlightenment. This is how the river matches when you attain enlightenment, and all of your chakras are completely lined up, and that energy is let out from the kundalini. This is from the snake, the serpent, or your kundalini energy rising to the top and kissing your pineal gland. This is what it looks like. This is a physical representation of what it looks like in the spiritual. When you see they have the snake here coiled at the top. And if you look at the water, you see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different outlets, which actually ties to the 7 chakras as well. So again, the ancients were very wise, wiser than this current man. And the deception in this reality is that humans can evolve. Humans cannot evolve. Humanity will never evolve. The only evolution is going from physical to spiritual. That's the only evolution that exists on this plane. Everything else is an illusion. Everything else is an illusion. All right. So they end this by saying this. So this voyage up the Nile was designed to evolve someone from a neophyte to a magus. So from an initiate to a master. Once they had finished, or magus you can look at as the magician too. So once they had finished their final ceremonies in the north, they were anointed as a high priest or a high priestess, perfectly embodying the principles of Ma'at. There is no temple dedicated to this goddess because she represents the balance of all of them, meaning that all of those temples represent the magus because you've mastered all of the 7 houses. Once upon a time, the awesome power of the galaxy once rained down into the Nile. Egypt at her most aligned then was a direct reflection of the Milky Way and a manifestation of the human energy system. Balancing our animal natures, Ma'at once guided us towards ascension. Another epiphany that's came to me is balancing your animal natures is balancing your ego. It's not balance. It's not just balancing. It's getting a hold of your ego. It's controlling your ego. It's making your ego work for you versus you working for your ego. And that's learning the difference between ego and between true self. We've come to confuse our ego with being who we are, and our ego is not who we are. Our ego is only can only even exist on this physical plane. So how could that be who we are? But I love this post. Like I said, whoever created this post, it says Richard Donald. And it looks like this is back from 2005. This goes to show that knowledge is already out there. Um, all of this knowledge exists, of course, within you, and you're tapping into a higher source of yourself every time that you are balancing your chakras. That's why it's so very vital and very important for you to balance your chakras so you can get a better understanding of yourself, and so that you can also not allow your emotions, which is your waters, to control you, not allow your ego, which is the earth, to control you. You know what I'm saying? It's literally getting a reign over everything. It's like the devil tarot card where you have Baphomet and he has a chain on the man and the woman. He has a chain on humanity, which means he's mastered humanity. A lot of people look at that card as negative, but I look at that card as controlling, being able to control your addictions, because addictions, what anything you're addicted to is because there is an imbalance in yourself. Your emotions are imbalanced, your mind is imbalanced, and you haven't gotten a hold of that. So you're drinking to sedate those emotions and those feelings because you don't want to feel. We have a tendency to want to um, downplay our emotions and call that a woman thing. The reason why women are so much more in tune and intuitive is because we're more connected with our emotions than men are. Men, especially black men, were told that they shouldn't cry, they shouldn't do certain things. If you don't cry, you're not allowing stagnant energy to be released from your body. So you're holding on to these old emotions, these old feelings that are no longer beneficial, and then that causes sickness. All right, so I'm going to end the video on this note. I really wish I had found the picture or the image I wanted to show you guys, but if I find it, I'll actually just post it on my Instagram page. Probably I'll do both, Knowledge Butterfly and Heal Soul. If you're not following me on those pages, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. I have my Knowledge Butterfly page and also my Heal Soul page. I also have Facebook pages for both of those. I created one for Heal Soul, and I have one that I've had for a while for Knowledge Butterfly. The Heal Soul page, you'll get information on different things you can do to balance your chakras. You can also book a session or a consultation. I have free consultations that I do, so I can tell you about what the distance Reiki session looks like, what we're looking to achieve, which really any initial Reiki session is going to be to start to move stagnant energy that's been sitting there, so that you can start to cry, so that you can start to release these old emotions that are causing, if you have any type of physical ailments, that's causing these physical ailments. But mainly, and the most important thing is really so you can get in balance and alignment, so you can move your Kundalini energy up to gain your true enlightenment, which is knowledge of self. All right. So yeah, go ahead and follow me on those particular social medias. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Peace. As I close out this video, now minimize my camera in the way. Okay, I can see it. I can see it now. I'm gonna hold on a second. Let me stop the share.